TIFU by mistakenly sending "love you too" to my boss. I received a text from my mom last night while making dinner after coming back home tired from work. The message was to remind me of my sister's birthday coming up next week. And she ended the message with, "Love you." I received another reminder from my boss less than 4 minutes after my mom's text, and he wanted to remind me to submit a slide I was assigned to his assistant for review. I ignored both texts and focused on my dinner. Afterward, I replied, "Love you too," to my mom and went to bed. I woke up this morning to see another text from my boss. "Never said I loved you. Plus, I'm married. You know that," and right above this confusing text was, "Love you too," all in caps, sent by me. Needless to say, work was extremely awkward today. After I explained to him, in his effort to lift the awkward mood from the air, he tried to joke about it, and a couple of coworkers heard, and now it's even more awkward. I received 5 emails from my colleagues about work, and all 5 were followed by "love you," all in caps. TLDR. I replied my boss's text with "love you too" instead of my mom. Now it's super awkward at work. Dude, you did something silly and got your chops busted over it. It's not like you did something seriously embarrassing. Unless there's some more history there. Embarrassing, sure. But the fact he made light of it and your coworkers are poking fun too? That's a win in my book.
Gotta lean in now.
I remember when my bosses kept sending me red heart emojis because he was trying to say less than 3. Had exactly the same happen to me. A female director at another business asked me for some information, and after I sent it she replied with a bunch of hearts and kisses. Then another message explaining she was also messaging her boyfriend and it was meant for him. I told her to forget about it. I obviously add hearts and kisses to my formal business messages to her now though. She showed her boyfriend. He thinks it's hilarious. She said we are both assholes. So did you text your mom back that you loved her too? I texted my male supervisor, "Love you," with my wife's nickname and a wink by accident. He replied, "Haha gay. Skull and crossbones. You're only embarrassed if you don't own it. Just reply, 'Love you too,' to all the coworkers and laugh at yourself a bit. It's a small mistake." My brother-in-law always says, "Bye. Love you," in his work calls to see if he can get anyone to say it back. Texted my boss to please stop and get milk and eggs once. Male. Had female employee accidentally text me instead of her husband about a sex position she wanted to try when she got home. She told me not to read the text. But it was too late. Although I already read it. I pretended like I never read it and never brought it up again. As long as there is no history of flirting and inappropriate convos, I'd move on. Only this story here reminded me of it. My boss and I were scheduled to have a work Zoom call with a client. But something came up and my boss had to take the call on his phone while he drove somewhere. Call went well, and as my boss was hanging up the phone and getting out of his car he signed off by saying, "Love you." Client and I laughed. Boss was clearly on autopilot. Used to saying goodbye to his wife as he got off a phone call. A woman at work did this to me by reflex once at work because her husband and I are good friends. So, because I am a mature person, I texted him to let him know that his wife is hitting on me with a full explanation because it's funny. He let me know that I would be going to brunch with her parents on Sunday. BC, it's my problem now. She emailed me later, telling me that I'm a jerk. BC, husband was joking on her. BC, I told him. In retaliation, on Sunday morning, I texted that I needed the address for brunch. I received a final text from her that she is no longer talking to me. Of course, I had to reply with, "Is it because of something I said?" Quote, "Yes, I'm 12. I feel ya. I was texting with two people. My sister who is my BFF, and my tenant. In my haste of wanting some peace on the toilet and hoping to avoid having to text my sister, I mistakenly texted my tenant one word. Pooping. I had a boss IM me over Teams, or whatever IM application we used, with a "love you." He was also talking with his wife. I responded with blackmail material. Mwahahahaha. Quote, said boss appreciated my sense of humor, and it got favorable mentions in some of my performance reviews. At an old job, one of my subordinates once texted me, "Good morning, sexy. There are worse things out there to send to one's boss. This isn't as bad as you think it is." In the last 1015 years, I've ended a client call with, "Okay. Love you." I've called my CFO, Mom, and yelled over for my boss in front of everyone by saying, "Hey honey, that boss and I are both men." Not something I dwelled on. I was doing a lot and my wires got crossed. It was funny in the moment, but I clearly didn't sit down and decide those were the words I really wanted to use. I've witnessed other people do similar things more times than I probably remember. Cut yourself some slack. It would only be something to worry about if you came back with, "No. Seriously. I love you and you should leave your wife for me." Edit. I just remembered I also texted one of the directors from my last job a lengthy, "I love you and appreciate you" message meant for my so. I'd forgotten that she had texted me near the end of the workday to give me a heads up about some work stuff, and I clicked her name without looking. She immediately called me, cracking up because clearly it wasn't meant for her. We're human. It happens. I have done this with an email to a customer while on the phone with husband. It's probably easier to get a list of people that haven't done this. Mail. Also sent up "love you" to a colleague. Mail. Because I had a SMS thread going on with my wife simultaneously. Quickly followed by an "oops." Called my boss boo instead of bro over text. He responded with "see you tomorrow, sexy."
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. EchoEnigmaa is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.